Welcome back to the Grow Like a Mother
Welcome
podcast.
back.
I am your host, Jill Wright, and I am a time management expert. I'm a podcaster, I'm a speaker. And this is the Grow Like a Mother podcast, which is your place for personal development and growth, productivity for working moms. And my guest today, I'm really excited to have Adrienne Dalaly. She's a consultant and an analyst and a spiritual strategist who helps people cut through the noise and create real progress. So she's got over 30 years of experience across industries and blends both logic and intuition to help humans and their businesses work smarter. So Adrienne is actually a certified Lean Six Sigma black belt, which we'll talk about. And she simplifies complex processes to really make them more manageable. She's also an astrologer and a tarot advisor, so she weaves that magic into her work as well, showing people how to trust their instincts in decision making. We're really going to dive into some tips and tricks for you guys today in terms of how to really get more productive and manage what you've got going on while also listening to your inner guidance. So that's kind of where we're headed. Adrienne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here.
And I'm so excited that you have your dog with you too. This is like just perfect that we have some extra howls and information coming in. So that is amazing. I'd love to start off by really diving into this idea for people who might not be familiar with the Six Sigma. Can you give us that framework and how you kind of got into that?
So I got into it, and I may have to grab a bone here in 2 seconds,
So
because that is real mom life right there. Everybody talks to you the second you're doing something.
yeah.
So I got into Six Sigma through my day job, and it was offered as a, hey, this is something everyone can kind of jump into if you're interested. And I was in sort of a reporting position at the time, already working with data. And I got in there, and the methodology that they started teaching about standardization and templates, I was like, this is what I do. I didn't know this is actually a thing that you could learn. And they were talking about efficiency and productivity and simplification. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is cool. And so within 2 years, I had taken it as far as I could take it and gotten all the certifications I could get. And then my company actually discontinued their internal program. And I went, oh, yeah, no, I've gone this far. We're going to get the whole thing. So I studied on my own for the final black belt work, which a lot of people have heard of green or have heard of lean. Black belt is where the math comes in, where you're actually starting to statistically model how things are going to react and correlations between things. And now you've got the numbers on how you can prove how much better something is working. And that is the scariest math test I have ever taken. The book for it was like this. My husband would walk by and see me studying, and he's like, you have a page-long equation and there are no numbers in it. And I'm like, just move along. Like, don't worry about it. So I went through and actually did that during the pandemic. So August of 2020, I got my certification in that. And it's honestly how I make sense of the world. I have often joked with friends and family that if I can put it in a spreadsheet, if I can color code it, I can work through it. And so it just made complete sense.
Yeah. And I can relate with that so much as well. I love having a system to sort of take all the things that are happening and all the things I need to do, like just everything that's going on. And like you said, make sense of it because as moms and as business owners and as working parents, like we've got a lot going on. There's a lot of different buckets. There's a lot of different hats that we're wearing. And it is so overwhelming if you don't have a way to um, systemize it, right? And to figure out how to prioritize things, to figure out if the efforts you're putting in are worth anything and are getting you to where you want to go. Like that for me is I think the biggest one. I hear a lot of women in my circle talking about that too, and this idea of I'm working really hard, but is it contributing to my end goal? Is that something that you work with people on?
all the time, and myself included. Even yesterday, great example, had something happen in my day job that just caused chaos to my entire world. And I was kind of spinning all week. And it was one of those where I'm like, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. I'm doing all the things, and somehow I'm not moving forward. I'm not solving a problem. And just yesterday, I sat down, I ate lunch away from my desk. I sat down with a piece of paper and a pen and just did a brain dump of everything I thought I needed to do before the end of Friday. And 20 minutes of scribbling and marking through and reordering. And between after lunch and the end of my workday, I had knocked out 75% of the list because I was able to go, okay, you actually don't have to do this week, so off the list. Ooh, you need to do this before you do this to do this. Cool. And so I have always thought that the way I do things is the way everybody does things. And actually, that apparently is not the case. And so I work a lot with women who are burned out, whether it is a career, whether it is running your household, which PS is a career, um, working with special needs children, also a career. So I do a lot of that work of just helping clear the noise and find an immediate path forward that day.
Yes. Like right now when we need the help, when we're in it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I want to dive into this because there are moments like just this week I had a moment where I woke up late because I had the fan on because it's really nice out and the windows anyways, but the fan was loud enough that my alarm was quiet enough that I didn't wake up on time. So I woke up late and I started the day feeling behind. Everyone else was already up, and no matter what anybody said, I was gonna blow up. Like it was one of those days, and there felt like there was so much to do, and I just couldn't get out of my head about it. And those are the moments where we really need a tool. So what would it look like in mom mode? What's a quick way that we can start to use the idea of this brain dumping mind mapping in our like real life?
It works differently for different people. And this is where a little bit of like the magic and the astrology comes in because we're all built differently. So, what works to help me find calm and find a path forward as a Scorpio is not the same that works for my 16-year-old daughter who is a Sag.
Mhm.
So, first and foremost, it comes with the little bit of backstory of what grounds you, because what grounds me is not what grounds her. Knowing that about yourself, and then just pressing pause, which as a mom, you're like, cool, yeah, I never press pause. My children go to bed, and I'm finally like, cool, now I can do all the things. So there's no pause, but being able to ground yourself as much as you can in like 5 minutes. And coming out of that 5 minutes, whether you were blasting heavy metal in your car by yourself, whether you got a coffee, whether you took a second shower because the first one just didn't take, whatever that like magic thing in your real life is. Maybe you load the dishwasher, some that provides calm because the sink's clear, whatever it is. And then come out of it and go, if I had to prove it in a court of law, what has to be done today?
Mm.
Not what deadline did Adrienne put on it, but what legally has to be done today. I've got to pick the kids up and I have to pay the mortgage. And I should probably go to work. Okay, cool. That means everything else in your head is off the list.
Mm.
Okay. So then what's your quick win? I can sit down at my computer and log in and pay the mortgage. Cool, done. We have a roof over our heads. Hierarchy of needs, right? Cool. Lowest denominator, done. And once you get, so now within 10 minutes, you have grounded, you have taken probably 90% of your list off of your list for now, and you've gotten a quick win. Those things give you such a relief and a confidence and a like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, that the noise starts to fade and you start to feel like yourself again.
I love that so much. And they're actionable things. It's not too complicated. It's like three things, and your whole energetics change. You are able to come out of the clouds and just sort of ground back in. You've accomplished something which gives you some momentum and some confidence to move forward into the next crazy bit of life, right? Because that totally happens. And I want to dive quickly into how we would know what are some of the things that ground us, aside from an obvious trial and error. And I want to bring in this idea of intuition, this idea of understanding your astrology or your human design, or like whatever is your preferred Enneagram like type of system. Yours, of
Mm.
course, being astrology because you're an astrologer. But I'm just curious, like, how is for someone listening who's maybe not super familiar, what are some of the things that they can do to cut the trial and error period and identify things that are going to work for them?
Right. And it's so funny you talk about like the system that works for you because I swear since college I was like, "Ooh, Myers-Briggs is cool," and then Clifton StrengthsFinder is cool. And so like I've kind of studied them all and I love how they all take you the same direction. It's just a different language. So,
Yeah,
first for me is, are you an introvert or an extrovert? And that comes down to the simple language of when you need to recharge, when you need to find calm. Do you need people or do you need no people?
I'm a very clear introvert in this regard. I must be alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, I am married to an extrovert.
Hmm.
So when he needs to get grounded, he needs to, and he is the wonderful type of man who like meets someone and like 10 minutes later they're best friends and they can call each other. Like he's that guy. And for him, getting grounded is playing golf with his friends or calling a family member and talking for half an hour while walking circles around the yard. Like he needs that. He needs the people and the energy. And I need to hide in a dark room and disassociate and play my favorite little cozy video game that like essentially is cleaning an island, right? So, knowing that about yourself, do you need people or do you not need people? Cool. And then you start to think about times in your life. And I mean, we can go back to like teenage, right? Of when you felt okay. And I think that's such a big thing that moms especially deal with, working moms, because we're given this vision that like being grounded is just fluffy clouds and light and oh, I feel amazing. And yeah, sometimes it's like that. And sometimes it's like, ooh, my head's not spinning. I'm not angry. Like, okay. And so going back to times in your life that you felt like that and what you were doing. Introverted drama musical theater kid. What makes me happy? Music. And you go, "Oh my gosh, when did I stop listening to music?" And even if it's my favorite song's on the radio in the car and I sit in the driveway and finish the song because it brings me joy. Maybe you loved building Legos. These are all my things because I'm an introvert. Maybe you loved going for a walk. Maybe you liked to swim. Maybe you need to like snuggle with your animal. These are all things that real people do in their house and doesn't take like a subscription. For the extroverts, can you take a dance class? Can you go golfing? Can you grab a friend for a walking coffee date? Right? Like, what are those things that just kind of bring you back to normal? Because we get so caught in the swirl. So it comes, I mean, at a very, very basic level, it's who are you underneath all the titles and what makes you happy?
Mm. I love that. Who are you underneath all the titles? Um, I remember when I was first in motherhood and I was so confused and upside down and backwards, and I had no idea what life, like how it could change so dramatically, and I wasn't expecting it. And I was going for a walk every day with the stroller because I didn't know how else to fill the time. And I completely lost sight of what I liked, who I was, what brought me joy. And I like made a list on my phone of like, what do I enjoy? What do I like? And it took me a while, and I still have the list and I still refer back to it sometimes like, hmm, I'm feeling a bit off. What on this list can I bring in to like in this moment or plan for? Because I'm a big calendar planner. Like, what can I build into my world so that I get more of me? And I feel like, okay, I'm starting from a place of grounded. Now I can tackle my to-do list. Now I can deal with the crazy of a six-person household. Now I can do XYZ in the business that I'm building. But you're so right that it all comes down to getting good with you. But in order to do that, you've got a little bit of work to do. And some of the moms listening are going to be in the same boat as I was. Like, I don't have a fucking clue what I like to do. I don't remember. So my recommendation is start a list and just keep adding to it. And as you notice things, chuck them on there.
Mm-hmm. I do. I have had a group chat with two work friends that became like for real friends for probably 4 years now, where we send each other our Wordles every day.
Nice.
And if somebody doesn't send it for like 2 days in a row, one of the other two will reach out and be like, "You good? You haven't? Did you just forget to post your Wordle, or did you not do it?" And it's funny how something that takes, I forget, confused between Wordle and Quirtle, but like I think Wordle's like what, 5 tries?
Yeah.
They're like literally it's 5 tries and it takes you 30 seconds. I love that. I love words. I was a journalism major, right? And so even that like quick, oh, I checked in, I grounded. Oh, it was hard today. That tells me it may be a rough day. Like, and having friends that help with that.
Yeah.
Like I think when we think about as moms, what are the things that bring me joy or what are the things I like? It's the little things that add up.
It doesn't
Do
need
you
to
love
be
to read? Do
life
you love
change.
to color? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the small things and it's the small steps towards getting back to that make it doable. It's always the small things. You got to take incremental shifts, I think, in where you're going because it is so overwhelming and truly not really doable if you're going from 0 to 60, 0 to 100, right? We need to recognize that there are milestones along the way of where you're trying to go, and you can't just flip the script overnight and become a different person or have a different energy level or accomplish different things. It's really, truly, there's a roadmap to where you want to go. And it kind of makes me think I was on your website earlier checking things out, and like the idea of mind mapping really stuck out to me. And I feel like if we can briefly explain this concept to people then and just sort of like tie it back into this conversation, then that would be a really helpful tool. Can you give us the download on that?
I can. And it's so funny because even when you were just saying like the incremental, um, that's based on a Japanese efficiency
Kaizen?
methodology called
Could it be Kaizen? Yeah, tattooed on my hand.
Did we just become best friends?
I think so.
Because, right.
Yeah,
This is
I adore this idea and that you're like when we get into the thick of it, it does take, it's not something that you or I made up, right? It's not something that we've decided is helpful. It is an ancient idea that is proven, and you can apply it in productivity and business, or you can apply it at home, right?
Right. Right. And by the way, you have Kaizen. I have Y equals F of X in the tattoo on my arm. Um, your outputs are the function of your inputs, which that is a whole nother conversation to itself. But
Yeah.
mind mapping sounds super fancy. It's really a brain dump, but it's sort of an organized brain dump. And I've actually got some videos on my website of some of mine that are, it's really just like words and circles and scribbles. But a great example is to grab a piece of paper and what is one big thing on your mind right now? Mine is vacation is coming. So you would write down vacation. And then what are all the things swirling around in your mind around vacation? You know, I've got to get my dog ready for the kennel. Who's going to watch the other dogs? So you just write dogs. And then you just start to spiral from there. What do I need to do? I need to call the kennel. I need to call the dog watcher. I need to make sure that Morpheus has all of his shots. You just start to like go down the rabbit hole, but you're going down the rabbit hole on paper. And this can be as big as you want it to be. Because trust me, we have a lot of things going on in our mind and a lot of things we want to focus on and a lot of problems we're trying to solve. And as you start to problem all the side problems, all the things you need to do to solve the problems, then when you step back and look at this big whiteboard or big sheet of paper, you're able to go in with your highlighter or go in with your Sharpie and be like, yeah, that actually isn't a problem for right now. Mark through it. I'll come back to it. Ooh, hey, what are things on this list of getting the dogs ready for us to go on vacation? What are things that I could do in a 15-minute break between meetings? You don't have to do all of them, but just you can slowly and methodically chip away. And just like we talked about getting that small win earlier, how great is it to be able to look at this messy, scribbled, color coded piece of paper and be like, ooh, I marked all that off. Cool, that problem is solved. And you keep it over time. And anytime you're like, ooh, I have time. Ooh, I already marked out. Here's this next thing. This is what I go for. So then you're not trying to remember the thing that you have to do to solve it. You just got those quick wins ready. I find it incredibly helpful. I'm trained in mind mapping, right? I know how to do it, but I've worked with a lot of small business owners, a lot of my clients who they just talk through their brain and I mind map for them. So
Nice.
they're not trying to think it and write it down. They just grab a cup of coffee and just go and it's written down for them. So that's the concept of mind mapping of it's a brain dump, but it's in a specific way that lets you get results.
Right. It's organized, it's productive, you have a map on what to do, hence the mind mapping. I like this idea
Mhm.
of getting together if you are someone who verbally processes and you have a colleague or a friend or somebody in your life, or hiring somebody like Adrienne who can take your verbal stuff and create a mind map for you if that's not your zone of genius. Like, again, going back to that, personalize the way that you're doing things, understand where your strengths are, understand where you might need to sort of outsource or get extra support if it's not your zone of genius, because I think that is the smartest thing we can do. And it doesn't, like, if you don't have extra funds to hire someone to do it, it can be probably ChatGPT as a starting point. It can be your best friend from high school. Like, have have some supports in place so that you can at least get started. And if you're at a place obviously where you know you need a little extra support, or you've got some extra money to really jumpstart things quickly, then I mean, Adrian's the girl for you. She is, this is her whole shtick. And I would love for you to share where people can learn more, how people can get in touch with you. I know that you've got this incredible resource that you're going to share with us that was only for your private newsletter, which I'm so excited for. So can you maybe bring us down that road a little bit before we wrap up?
Okay, so I am going to share the super cool thing. It's on the methodology called 5S, which is super, super cool. Much more on that on my website. But I've tried to make what my brain does available on whatever level you need. So within my Instagram, every week on Thursdays, I post a 30-second reel that explains a methodology tool. I try to tie them to the astrological seasons because I am myself. So one is a 30-second explainer in human language that real people can do. And the next week will be how it works for different astrological elements. So, like, if you're an air sign and you're very airy and you need like communication and freedom, this is how this works for you. So, we have the quick bites on Instagram and Facebook. We have a professional version of that on LinkedIn. All of those are free resources. My website is actually open. You don't have to subscribe. You can just hit the website, and in my resources I have all sorts of like long form articles about how to do these things and why they work. Then if you want more personalized support, you can jump in for the newsletter, also free, but it gets you some nice little exclusive things, or you can work for me. So if you need it 30 seconds at a time, I got you. If you need to dive in and do a month of coaching, I got you, because I understand everybody is at different resource levels. And I just don't mean money, but like time, energy. If I can scroll and get an idea on something at 9 o'clock at night in 30 seconds, cool. That little win might get you a step further.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I love that you make that accessible to people. It's such important work. It's stuff that we all need to know and are not taught, right? We aren't all working for a company who was, you know, advanced or modern enough to introduce something like Six Sigma to the workforce. Eh, So we don't know. This is not something that we're taught. It's not common languaging. So please go visit Adrienne's Instagram. We're gonna have everything linked. Start there and deep dive. Take some time, read the resources she's got available, and see where this leads you. Because I have a feeling that if you're listening and you've made it through this whole episode, you're like the two of us, and you're gonna get geeked out by this type of thing. And there's a whole world available to you once you start unraveling the onion. Yeah. Okay. As we wrap up, I always like to say, is there anything that feels left unsaid or any message that you want to make sure all of the listeners hear today?
It is so easy to fall into keeping up with the Joneses and what people portray online. And you are not them. You are you. You are a unique you. You are the only person like you. And you're not broken because you process differently, because you haven't done the dishes in 3 days, because your kid went to school with mismatched socks that you didn't realize till later. That may or may not have happened as my child was walking out the door today. You're not broken. You don't have to do it the way anybody else does it. The key is finding something that works for you, that makes you feel like you.
Thank you for that. That is a big old permission slip that I'm going to keep with me today. And I know that landed with many of the listeners as well. And please, listeners, if you this is a conversation that we're having with you, except we can't hear you. So please get in touch with us on Instagram or like LinkedIn or wherever your platform is. Let us know what landed. Let us know what resonated and that you heard about Adrienne here on the Grow Like a Mother podcast, because we want to be able to keep the conversation going. And it's so important to have that back and forth. At least I feel that way. I think it's so nice to know what's landing, with people, and be able to really understand the impact that's being rippled out. So thank you so much for your time. It's been so great to learn from you and to have these little pieces of wisdom that we can share. Makes all the difference in a half hour or less episode of the podcast. So yeah, it's been a true gift having you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to keeping the conversation going.
Yes, yes. And until next week, keep on growing like a mother.